Okay, everyone, we'll go ahead and get underway. We're joined by Associate Head Coach and Defensive Coordinator Doug Belk. Coach, thanks as always for your time here this week. And we can go ahead and get started with questions. Just ask media to use the raise your hand tool, and we'll get those passed along your direction. We can lead things off with James Mueller.
Yeah. Hey, Doug. How's it going?
Hey, thanks. How you doing, man?
Pretty well. So I was just wondering overall, Dana's talked a lot about just Perry Olson and the impact, he had preparing for Navy. Can you talk about that a little bit more and how that helped y'all? It's hard enough to prepare for Navy and that style of offense, but just how that helped y'all, be in a better place going into the game and able to execute on Saturday.
Yeah, I think, anytime you have somebody who's been a part of that type of offense that could give you a good look in practice, especially at the quarterback position, as well as the fullback and some other positions with the speed of the game, it always helps. We had a plan that we stuck to, and our players getting the speed of the game as well as we could obviously really helped us. But his knowledge of what he was doing and kind of coaching the scout team up on what they needed to do obviously helps a lot. And he's a smart guy, great teammate, does everything right. So very fortunate that he was able to be a part of that and help us in our preparation for the game.
Thanks, James. We'll send it over to Andy Yanez. Andy?
Hey, Doug, I'm curious, from your perspective, can you talk a little bit about the performance that the defensive line did against Navy? Dana Holgerson talked about a lot of different players up front and how strong they played and being able to shut down Navy.
Yeah, it all starts up front. Their scheme is very difficult to prepare for. I thought Brian earlier, our defensive line coach, did an awesome job getting those guys ready to go, along with some of the adjustments that we made from years past. And, we played Navy well last year in a lot of different areas, but we made some adjustments that helped us even more. We've had a little bit more length up front with Logan and Peyton and some of the guys, David and Nini, that have played and did a really good job in the past. And, a lot of guys who haven't played versus Navy on our roster that were able to go in there and impact the game. And it's very difficult seeing those schemes for the first time. So a lot of guys stepped up, did a really good job. And, the front kind of makes it all go, changing up the reads and some movement and some different things that we were able to do. And they were, a big part of why our linebackers and safeties, on the next level had success as well. When you look at the day that Donovan had, but it all kind of starts up front. Dot's main job was to keep the center off of our linebackers, and he did that the whole game, and he was able to change the game, be very physically dominant. And you look at Jermichael Neal and Jamari, Hakeem, other guys that played in there, and then at the defensive end spot, Elias Bell had a really good game for us, playing physical, making plays, impacting the game in the run and the pass. Cedric and Nelson, and then even Justin Beatles got in there and helped us and provided some depth. So very proud of that group. I thought they did a really good job, and a lot of it is your mindset because the blocks are coming different. They're hitting you low, they're hitting you high, it's coming off the ball fast. And I thought our mindset was great, to be physical and match their intensity and set the tempo, and I thought they did that.
We'll send it over to Joseph Duarte.
Hey, Doug, how you doing?
Hey, JD.
Wanted to sort of piggyback off of that. I know last week we talked about Dot a little bit, and in about a half an hour we're going to get to talk to him for the first time since he's gotten here, and I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on just him specifically at that position. What makes him go in your mind? It takes a different type of person to play that position, and I think Brian Early had a really interesting kind of a technical tweet about what he did in the game against Navy that you sort of alluded to, but just Dot in general, since he's been here, that progression, what you've seen.
Yeah, I didn't see Coach Early's tweet, but I'll tell you this, and we talked about Dot a little bit last week. A lot of guys played well in there, but him in particular, I think the biggest thing is his mindset. He's physical by nature, very aggressive in how he plays the game. Has been really good versus Navy the last couple of years, and even better this week. But on a weekly basis, he takes on double teams. The box score doesn't always tell the job that he's able to do and how he's able to impact the game. But he typically dominates the guy in front of him. We talk about changing the math, and it allows us to rush 4 a lot of times and play aggressive up front. And he's kind of a key component in that based off of how he's able to dominate the guy and change, the blocking schemes and do things to affect the game. And like I said, it gives our other players a chance behind him to be very successful. And, sometimes it's tough to consistently do the dirty hard work in the dark, as we call it. And he doesn't always get credit. And as well as some of the other interior guys that we have, like Jermichael. But Dot, slow center of gravity, and he's one of the strongest guys pound for pound on our team. So I think a lot of times when people look at him physically, you may not be able to see the guy that he is on tape with the dominance and the physicality and the effort that he plays with consistently. And I think his energy is contagious. He loves football. He loves his teammates. He's really matured in a lot of different ways. He's grown his game to not just be a nose, but to be able to add some pass rush element in there as well. So I'm very proud of him and what he's been able to do. And, he eats double teams for a living. And he's able to free up our 3 technique and our ends often. And we ask a lot of him, and he takes that upon himself to be physical. And, being a state champion wrestler in the state of Texas is also something in his background. And you see that on tape, the way that he's able to play with his hands and be dominant at the point of attack. So just really proud of where he's been able to get to. And I think his game is going to continue to grow. The more he plays, the better he gets with the way that he practices and approaches it. And like I said, I think Coach Early and, the rest of our staff, as well as our strength coach, Coach Bauer, have invested a lot in him. And he loves the challenge and he loves the work. So the more he plays, the better he's going to get. And I'm glad he's on our team.
Thanks, JD. We'll pass it along to Andy Yanez.
Doug, kind of along similar lines, one of the other players that Dana Holgorsen was really high on yesterday was Donovan Mutin, and obviously we know what he brings to the table from that perspective of a leadership role. But can you talk a little bit about just this past week? He was one of the players that has played against Navy a lot. Can you talk about what that leadership role was from your perspective? Being able to tell a lot of the younger guys that maybe not have seen what Navy brings to the table and kind of getting them up to speed on what to expect against that offense.
Yeah, you guys know what I think of, a bunch of the guys that we have, but in particular, Donovan, love him to death. Just the way that he approaches everything. He's a student of the game, a great teammate. We were able to put a lot of other guys in the game. He's a coach on the field often, and he's more excited for other people's success than his own success, and that's a sign of a true leader. And then, being an ultimate competitor and showing up and being his best when we needed him to be his best. And he's been in and out of the lineup with some injuries, in and out of lineup at practice last week. Been beat up a little bit, and then to go out and be able to have the type of performance that he had was very impressive. But the energy is infectious. The leadership is there. His love of the game, and very intelligent young man that knows exactly what he wants to do. Very consistent in his approach and his preparation, and I think it shows on Saturday. But the most impressive thing about him is not really the way that he plays, the way that he's able to impact the game and help other people along the way. And he takes his leadership role very seriously, but also, he wants to be great. And I think that he puts in extra work. He studies hard. He embraces coaching. Him and Coach Mac's relationship is very unique. And I think Coach Mac does a really good job, of preparing him, but not only coaching him, but, guiding him in how to lead and things that we want and expect for him. And oftentimes I, talk to Donovan and other captains and other leaders on our defense. And, I don't often have to say a lot because Donovan's going to reiterate those messages and challenge his teammates. And he's going to set the standard for what we need to do. And, the more that we have of that and player-led team, the more games that we'll win and more success we'll have overall. So, he's a big key component of what we do. And we ask a lot of him, but he always answers the challenge. And, he's one of the guys that stood up and clapped, when Dot was named player of the game. And he had 13, 14 tackles in the game. And he has that type of level of respect and command in our locker room. And he's doing a great job for us right now.
Continue along with James Mueller.
Yeah, Doug, when we were talking to Dana yesterday, he mentioned just, the amount of guys that got to play against Navy, and one name he threw out there was Traylon Payne, and just what he's seen from him. I was just wondering how you feel about his progression and what you've seen from him when he's been able to get out there for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Traylon's going to be a special player here at the University of Houston. He has a very unique skill set. He's fearless, has the athleticism of a safety and the physicality of a linebacker. Very difficult to block in the box and runs and hits in space. He's a freshman, and we're bringing him along, and we're coaching him up. Loves football, wants to compete, strives to play, and he got some opportunities to get in the game. He did a really good job, and him and just Jalen, got in there. They kind of roll together, the young guys of the group, and like I said, Coach Mack does an unbelievable job with those guys, and Donovan's out there coaching them each and every play, and it's really fun to watch. So, I think he's going to be special, and I think the more he plays, the better he's going to get. And so we're going to try to increase his reps on a weekly basis. And he made some plays on defense and did a few good things, but he ran down on the kickoff and set the tempo right there in the second half as well and made a big play. But very passionate, very energetic, and he's gonna be a special player here.
Send it over to Joseph Duarte.
Doug, if I'm not mistaken, I think Dana was the one that said this. You guys at your previous stop recruited Jayce Rogers, right?
Yes.
And I'm assuming you were in on that as well. But you just what he's done for you guys. You've obviously had your eye on him for many years, and to see sort of what he's done this year, kind of has a magnet for the ball. It seems, just kind of put in perspective what you saw when you were recruiting him versus now that you got him on your side this time around, what he's meant for y'all.
Yeah, Jayce is a ball of energy. He's always talking, very energetic, loves football, small in stature, but has the heart of a lion. He thinks he's the biggest guy on the field at all times, even though he's not. Plays physical, plays fast. And, we recruited him previously. And, I've been knowing Jayce, most of his life. We're from that same area, rival high schools, and, recruiting him and seeing his maturation, on the field and off the field. He's matured tremendously. And him and Marcus and Pepe were all kind of similar in stature, and he played the same positions as them. And I think he learned a lot from them. I think he's worked hard to continue to do things right. And, he's a great father. He's raising his son. And, those are the things that you can't take away from a guy who's trying to do things right. And as far as football goes, he's got a lot of alpha qualities. He loves to compete, probably one of the most competitive guys on our team, if not. And, the relationship with, him and Tank and some of those other guys that he competes with on a daily basis, I think makes him better. And I just think that he can impact the game in a lot of different ways. We use him in a lot of different positions. And sometimes we ask a lot of him to play man to man and, tackle in space. And, he's added an element of return, which he's always had that ability. We've had some really good returners here with Marcus and Tank, but he also adds that element as well. But his energy is infectious, and he plays every play like it's his last. And I think that he's able to challenge his teammates and do some things out there that really can affect the game. And, for him, it's just all about containing that passion and playing consistently each and every day. And he likes to challenge, and he usually rises up to those occasions.
If I could follow up, Doug, what was it like walking into the hallways of your rival school, going after a guy from the other side of the proverbial tracks, for your town?
Yeah, it's all love. It's kind of interesting how it's set up, because we were basically like right there from the same place, so just across the street. So, it wasn't where they were excited for him to have opportunities, and a tradition rich place that they've won some games, and he was a state champion in high school and all-state player. So, for us, it was just us trying to find the right fit for us, and, had a lot of versatility in what he could do. So just added a little spark, and we were looking for somebody with return ability that can play some nickel at that time. And that's what he's ended up being for us here as well. So, just really proud of where he's been to, and hopefully he continues to raise his level, right, and, impact the game in a positive way, and really, challenge his teammates and hold himself accountable for what we need him to do down the stretch here.
Continue along with James Mueller.
Yeah, Doug, looking ahead to this weekend, obviously there's a little bit of unknown with, Bohannon being out, but just what you've seen on tape from the South Florida offense in terms of, playmakers and weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah, when you look at their record, it is very misleading. These guys are coached very well as far as, schematically. They've had a lot of guys in and out of the lineup and battled injuries and had to overcome a lot of things with the hurricane and had a very difficult schedule up to this point. But the talent is there. It's what you think of when you think of, Florida speed and the talent that they have on the perimeter. They have two elite receivers and a couple guys who are right there behind them as far as talented. So they have 4 or 5 guys on the perimeter that are really, really dynamic and can change the game at any minute. And they have some home run hitters. And then, we talked a lot about their starting running back, 21, 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns against us last year, as well as a rushing touchdown. He's one of the most dynamic guys at his position in the country and one of the top players in our conference as far as all-purpose yards on a weekly basis. So a lot of electric guys there. And, with Bohannon, it could have been the most explosive, capable offense that we played. Morris has played, the guy that we expect to start, 6'5", 230, dual threat guy, strong arm, does a lot of things well. So to be interested to see how they use him. But overall, 4 returning starters on the offensive line. They had 5 returners. The left tackle has not played in a couple games, so don't know what his status is. So they have experience, they have explosive capabilities, and guys who can change the game with their athleticism. And schematically, those guys do a really good job as well. A lot of shifts, a lot of motions, a lot of different formations to get their playmakers in position to make plays. So the challenge is going to be great for us and a new week, but the same goal. So we have to do a really good job in preparation and having an urgency. Early game, get out there, get going, and do whatever we need to do to come away with a victory.
We'll continue along with Joseph Duarte and then keep it open with one more beyond that. Joseph?
Doug, Gio hadn't practiced much as he's been battling his stuff, but that play, I believe it was like almost right before halftime where they took a shot in the end zone. He came up with a big pass breakup, just little things like that. I mean, the guy's a gamer, but, I'm sure it doesn't surprise you when you see a guy go out and even though he's been struggling with health to make those type of plays.
Yeah, I think Gio is a Sunday guy. I think he's going to have a chance to do big things coming up down the stretch, but we're better with him, and a lot of times we haven't been without him. This year, other guys have had to step up, but, he's a warrior. He wants to be great, has a lot on the line for himself and his team, and expectation is for us to win. And he's one of our leaders, and he was named the captain for a reason. The way he's able to command, the formations and the adjustments and all the things that we want to do in the back end, the way that he communicates is not much different than the expectation that we have for Donovan at the linebacker position. He's a playmaker that has improved every year since he's been here. He's played every position in the secondary, corner, nickel, and safety. He even played down in the box some at dime over time, but now he's kind of settled in at our field safety position. And, we've challenged him in a lot of different ways, and that was a great play that he made. I want to see him pick that ball off though, and so that's the next phase to that. And, I give him a hard time about all those things, but he's done a tremendous job of battling and being consistent and improving his study habits and all of those things that you expect a senior captain to do, especially a guy that has a chance to play at the next level to continue to improve each and every week. And so the expectation is high. And, for him and guys like Donovan that have been a little bit beat up, that go out there and perform at a high level, those guys are veterans that have played a lot of football. So a lot of the game for them is mental, as much mental as it is physical at this point in the year. So keeping those guys fresh and getting those guys ready to play and, having the expectation that they go out there and lead us and do things the right way and others will follow. And that's what G. Owens has become, and just really proud of that for him. And he's been able to impact our team in a major way with some of the plays that he's been able to make when he's in the lineup this year. And then, he's plays all over the field, and, the way he's in the post and playing the deep ball like you saw last week and against Texas Tech and other times this year. And then the physicality that he brings to the team as well. coming down, making a bunch of tackles, and being physical as well. So we need him to continue to get healthy and be great and do things the right way so he can continue to lead and impact our team the right way.
We'll send it over to Rob Sellers for the final question. Rob?
Thanks, Andrew. Coach, I just wanted to ask a little bit from the last game, just in terms of personnel. I'm not sure what you can share, injury or whatnot, but with Brooks getting the start back there at safety, was that more of a decision because of the opponent and allowing Jayce, since you probably wouldn't need him as much nickel-wise against Navy? Was that kind of the thinking and how that happened?
Yeah, each week is a different challenge, and we want to put the best guys that we have to help us be successful on the field. We've been rotating a lot of different guys, and Hassan was our special teams player of the week, and he's played a lot of football here, as well as Tabo Waniki, and both of those guys did a really good job impacting the game. Started Jayce at boundary corner to give us a spark a little thin at some of those positions, but we needed a guy with some twitch and some physicality at that position, and he's a veteran guy that had experience as well. Art played field corner. Antonio did a really good job when he was in there. He brings another element to our team. And so we want to get him more reps and more opportunities. And, each week, it's a competition for who's going to play. And he had a really good week of practice, and we've been working him in the lineup more. Very talented. And as you can see, when he was out there, he finds ways to impact the game in the pass game. Very physical and a great open field tackler. So, he did not finish the game, and don't know his status yet for when his return will be, but competition breeds success. So, but where we're at, and our goal is to win, and we want that competition level to be high, not only on Saturday but in practice at the positions that we need to increase the production at times, and we'll continue to play all of those guys that you saw Saturday, and probably see a couple more guys going to line up depending on some of the injury statuses and who practices well this week and who prepares the right way. And does what myself and Coach Holgerson and the rest of the staff needs to do, and who earns the respect of doing things right from their teammates. And that's the guys that'll be out there. But Brooks did a good job when he was in there, and we'll continue to play the rest of those guys as well.
All right, everyone, we'll pick back up here. We're joined by defensive back Jayce Rogers. Jayce, thanks so much for your time here today. We'll go ahead and open it up. Questions for media. Just ask that you all use the raise your hand tool, and we'll get things passed along your direction. And we can lead off with James Mueller. James?
Yeah, hey Jayce, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty well. I was just wondering, Donnie was telling us last week just, how the win over Memphis reminded y'all of, you're still the team you think you can be, and even after some hard times, and obviously coming off a win over Navy, just the confidence level of this team, knowing that your goal of a conference championship is still right there in front of you, and how these two wins have just affected that mood of this team.
Well, I would say like the mood of the team never really went anywhere. We always knew it was pretty good. It was just the fact that we was always making little critical errors down the stretch in those games. So it's just kind of like just trying to get everything together, trying to make everything complete. So with that, we was just practicing every day, just better communication, just making sure, talking through everything like before we go out on the field. Because before the last two games, our only 3 losses became from 6 points. It was a 6-point difference. So we always knew it was pretty good. We just had to fix the little beginning of the season things that go on.
Thanks, James. We'll send it over to Joseph Duarte. Joseph?
Hey, Chase, how you doing?
I'm doing good, and you?
Good, thank you. I wanted to touch base with you. Dana had mentioned to us about they recruited you when they were at West Virginia, and Coach Belk just said you guys went to rival schools, so he was high school, so he was familiar with you. Can you kind of take us through what your recruitment was like with this coaching staff, and sort of how it all came together for you to end up with them here in Houston?
Well, out of high school, I was okay recruited. I had a couple offers, couple big offers or whatever. But me and Coach Belk always had we always had that relationship because we were from the same city. So it's kind of like when he reached out to me, my mom told me like, oh, Coach Belk is such and such people. So it's kind of like we was already close. And I didn't even really know it because my people kind of knew his people already. So that played a big role. I wanted to go with some people that knew me and that knew my background or whatever. So Coach Belk always stayed in touch with me. West Virginia didn't work out it because I had a little miscue coming out of high school with the SAT or whatever. So I had to go take the JUCO route. But the JUCO route, but Coach Belk always stayed in touch with me. He always made sure that I was doing okay. So I always knew if he threw wherever he was and he threw the offer, I was gonna go play for him. So it was just like basically like family thing.
Did it mean something though that you had? I mean, most of the times guys don't have any connection with the coaching staffs until you meet them and they start recruiting and build a relationship. Right. I mean, you had a neighborhood kind of deal with these guys with Doug, where I mean, you don't get that very often, that personal touch where you knew exactly where he was coming from.
Right. Yeah, it was
was that sort of nice to have a guy who was from the area?
Yeah, it was a blessing. It was a blessing to have Coach Belk. He played a big role in my life. Even when he wasn't my coach, like he would always text me and make sure that I was like when I was at JUCO, he would always text me and make sure that I was still doing the right things to get where I needed to go. He always stayed on me about like you got to finish school and you got to do this so we can try to get to where we need to go type stuff. So it was always like he always made sure I was straight regardless of if he was my coach then or you feel me.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it over to Andy Yanez.
Jayce, kind of just going back to what you said on you know how tough those 3 losses were, but you guys were always constantly still talking about focusing on better communication and sticking together. Can you talk a little bit about whether there was whether it was one of the leaders on the defense or kind of what that process was like from a player perspective, kind of who is in charge of like reiterating that message to stick together? I mean, like you said, the losses were real close ones and maybe not letting it get out of hand, for lack of a better phrase.
Right. I feel like the communication came from like everybody because we were so worried about the outside noise and what everybody what everybody expected of us. So we was thinking about conference championship and everything instead of handling the task at hand. So it's like everybody, like once we figured out like, okay, boom, it ain't going how we want it to go. So everybody just started voicing like Donnie, he's an amazing leader. Donnie, G. Owens, they're amazing leaders. And I wouldn't ask for nobody else to lead us. But we just came to a point where everybody was just voicing their opinion, like we need this to work and we got to make this work, especially in the DB room, because most of the mistakes that came down the stretch was in our room. So we made sure everybody was on the same page, extra meetings, staying after practice, just making sure everybody was on the same page. And I feel like that's how we've been getting it on the road the past 2 games.
Continue along with Joseph Duarte.
Jayce, going back to what you said a minute ago, the coming out of high school when it didn't work out for you, how much did that I don't know if motivates the word or sort of put things in perspective, how you had to wait a little while, but it all worked out for you. But was that sort of a growing moment for you to go through that and maybe not get what you wanted immediately, but in the end it played out the way you had hoped?
Yeah, coming out of high school, I was I wasn't mature at all. So it was kind of like I kind of needed that to. I don't feel like coming out of high school, if I went straight to college, I wouldn't be the same person that I am now. I felt like I kind of needed the JUCO to like level me out, like calm down, like take it, like if you don't take it serious, it could be taken away from you. So the JUCO, I feel like the JUCO was one of the most important parts of my life. Like it made me realize that I don't like football. I love football. So it's like if I wasn't playing football, it was gonna be hard for me. So I just had to fall in line and get my stuff together.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll continue along with Dayon Dunlap. Dayon.
All right, what's up, Jayce? Just kind of piggybacking off one of your previous statements where you kind of said early on the secondary made some mistakes. So just kind of what were some of the things that y'all cleaned up just to be better in situational football and complementary football, whether it's helping the offense get the ball back when they aren't scoring or getting the ball back when they're hot? So what were some of those things that y'all cleaned up as a secondary and as a defense?
Basically just assignment, alignment, just talking things out before the play or communicating during the play or even staying after practice and making sure like you know it, but we got to make sure everybody on the same page, because it was just like little simple things that day one stuff that was messing up down the stretch that cost us games, that gave up big plays. So it was just like we was making sure everybody was just on the same page. We were just bashing like we got to be on the same page. We got to communicate. Even if we do know it, we still got to communicate through it. Like just say it 3-4 times before the play even starts, so you won't forget. So that's kind of what we did. More we just bash communication, alignment, assignment, and eyes. That's what the talk was in our room.
Thanks, Dayon. We'll keep it open if there's one or two more for Jayce before we let him go.
I'll ask one.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, no, kind of just along those lines. Just can you talk about how, I mean, if it was at all, did you guys see that Memphis game maybe as like a turning point that you guys were able to close it out? I know Elias Bell was the one that made the final sack on the play, but being able to hold Memphis after that first quarter to just field goals the rest of the way and then being able to kind of close out the game, was that like from a mental perspective, something that gave you guys more confidence going ahead into the bye week?
Yeah, I feel like we needed that win bad. It was a must win for us. Like if we didn't get that win, I don't know how the locker room would be, but everybody in high spirits. We came together as a defense. We had defensive meetings and stuff like that to be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Our goal's still on the table. Everything we want to accomplish still can be accomplished, because it's like, so why not talk about it and have extra meetings and fit and make sure everybody else on the same page to get where we need to go. So just a little more meeting and talking to each other and just even hanging out when it ain't football, just to get closer to your brother and stuff like that. So we did a lot of that, and I feel like it was a turning point for us. We needed that win.
Thanks, Andy. We'll give the last question to Joseph Duarte. Joseph?
Jayce, I realize you're a different position groups, but I was wondering, you got any Dot stories just about what type of guy he is? I think his nickname is Block Bully.
Yeah.
Just what is it about this guy that maybe we don't know?
See, we love Dot because it's like Dot does all the dirty work that doesn't really get noticed. Like Dot's taking on double teams every play and he's changing numbers on the line. So it's like you got to respect the way he approaches it, and the way he handles his job is top tier. He does a lot of work for a lot of people down there that people don't really understand or don't. If you're not big on football, you wouldn't understand the job of a nose guard. But that does his job, and he does it high every week. So it's like I appreciate that. That's one of my close friends on the team.
Thank you.
We'll make time for one more, Jayce. Dayon, you have one final question?
Yeah, well, I want to ask you about a receiver. Sam Brown has really stepped up over the last few weeks. Just what have you seen from him in practice and throughout practice in the season?
Sam Brown is I don't think a lot of people know this, but I was a big part of helping Sam get to the University of Houston. He's from Georgia too, but we have like common people we worked out with, and then when I seen him get in the transfer portal, it was kind of like, yeah, we need him, because I know what he could do. Actually, we played on the same 7-on-17s and stuff like that. So me and Sam got a lot of history together. So when he come out here and he doing this thing, and I'm just on the sideline smiling, because it's like I knew he could be that, and I knew that he haven't reached his ceiling yet, and this just the beginning for Sam, man. He a dog, bro. I like the way he comes out and he works hard, especially with him being with Tank Dell. So it kind of opens him up to do a little more room, because everybody got their eyes on Tank. So it's kind of helping him out a lot. But yeah, when he doing this thing, man, I'm on the sideline smiling, I'm cheering. I'm probably Sam's biggest fan, bro.
All right, everyone, we'll go ahead and pick back up here. We are joined by Chidozie Nwankwo. Dot, thanks so much here for your time today. We're going to go ahead and get questions started with Joseph Duarte. Joseph?
Doc, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
We've asked about you repeatedly, since you've got to Houston and people describe you as, doing the dirty work. You got the dirtiest job on the team. Can you just sort of just take us through what's your job description? How would you define your job?
Me personally, I feel like my job is really to be the rock of the defense, mainly, really for the team to I feel like people see me embracing what I do, because obviously I have the hardest job. I take on double teams a lot and stuff like that. If people on the team can see what I do and see I love doing that, that'll make them play their roles better and stuff like that. So that's why I do what I do.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it over to James Mueller. James?
Yeah, hey Dot, how's it going?
What's going on?
So I was wondering, just, a bunch of your teammates and coaches have been very complimentary. You don't light up the stat sheet, but just, what you're able to do, like you're talking about with that dirty work. Can you just talk about the support you receive from them and just that recognition that you get from them that maybe the outside doesn't, appreciate it as much?
Yeah, that's why I still continue to do what I do. Honestly, they really show me a lot of love inside of the media. So like, regardless of what the media says or goes on outside, they show me a whole bunch of love and support. That's why I love fighting for them.
Thanks, James. We'll send it back to Joseph Duarte.
Dot, earlier, Doug Belk said that you eat up double teams. And I tweeted that, and a bunch of high school coaches in the area are now saying that's why they triple teamed you when you were in high school. So is this just the life of Dot? I mean, is that what – I mean, you probably never – have you ever gotten a single team or just one-on-one? Because it seems like that's –
one-on-ones, pass-wise, yeah. But run, I don't think I get many of those. Probably one or two times a game. That's probably it.
Does it make you laugh though? You go back to high school and it's been like this for you. I mean, literally, people don't make it easy for you, but you probably like that, right?
Yeah, I actually love it. Actually, so I feel like if it's easy, then something's wrong. That's how I see it.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll continue along with James Mueller.
Yeah, I was just wondering, obviously, y'all have been without Derek for a while, but just your thoughts on how the D-line group as a whole has sort of gelled and stepped forward, especially with what Elias has been able to do the past couple of weeks and Nelson's been doing all season and things like that.
I feel like we've been doing a really good job with that, with DP being out, Derek Pierce being out and stuff like that. We just next man up. We got to step up. Of course, we miss him. Can't wait for him to get back, get better first, of course. But I feel like as a whole, everybody's been helping each other out as far as stepping up to the plate and being that leader. We all help each other, make sure each other are straight.
We'll continue along with Andy Yanez.
Hey, Dot, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. You've been here a few seasons. I was just curious, from your time when you first got here, was there a player that maybe stood out to you in terms of a leadership role that really helped you along the way throughout your process or throughout your time here at the University of Houston?
Actually, it's a few of them. Actually, I say first off, Donovan Mewton, PT, Logan Hall. They all just helped me get adjusted to the team, to how things go, how things run around here, and I have to say that I thank them a lot for that. So they made it easy for me.
We'll send it back over to James Mueller.
Yeah, sort of going off Andy's question on the next level perspective, is there a guy or a couple guys that you sort of tried to model sort of your game after, watched a lot of their film, tried to emulate them and, put it into your game?
Yeah. So people like Fletcher Cox, Aaron Donald, of course, Ed Oliver, people like that I watch a lot in on the next level, so try to mock their game, try to see whatever it is I can do to get better every day. So that's who I watch, the main people I watch.
Send it back to Joseph Duarte.
Doc, first thing, who gave you the block bully nickname? And then secondly, when you look at your stats, and maybe it's not, it's not the traditional, racking up a bunch of tackles or sacks or tackles for loss. Is there one that you look at, after the game? Is it how you grade out, or what is the big one that jumps out at you that if you can get every game, you're happy with?
Really, what I'm happy with every game is when I see on my grade out sheet no loafs. So when I see that I had no loafs, I get the most excited. But my pops he actually gave me that nickname, the Block Bully. He called me one day. He's so excited, just calling me. I got the name. Block Bully. How that sound? And I was like, you know what? That actually sounds pretty accurate. I like it. So I plan to do more stuff with that in the future.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it over to Dayon Dunlap. Dayon?
Hey, Dad, what's up, man?
What's going on?
Much 1911 was a good year, just on the wrong side of it.
Yeah. I hear you.
Now, well, my question is, kind of talk about what defensive line Brian Early, what he means to you and how he's helped you continue to develop.
Man, that guy, man, he helped me continue. He's still helping me to this day, man. He actually means a lot to me. I just thank him a lot for never giving up on me, honestly. So that's the main thing I really can say. He never gives up. I always make sure I'm coachable to him. That's it, because he has that much respect in my heart, in my life, actually.
Thanks, Dayon. We'll send it back to Joseph Duarte.
Doc, we've heard a lot about different guys on the line this year, but Jamari Caldwell's name keeps coming up. What is it about him? He's a big boy to begin with, but is there just something about him that you've seen?
I mean, he is a big guy, but he's not like the normal big guy. He's very explosive, very quick. He told me actually when he first got here, I was talking to him. He told me he used to play running back. I was like, man, like running back. He was like, yes. He was like, yeah. I used to play running back. I used to be told that thing. I'm like, I believe, bro, because he's real quick off the ball and really very explosive. So he keep working on that. He's gonna be something special.
And if I could follow up while there's no other questions right now, the wrestling aspect of your your life, that play, I'm sure that plays a role every game in terms of pad level, and I saw a video that Coach Early did it where you drop one of your knees, and I mean it looked like a complete wrestling video as well of technique. I mean, does that come into play a lot for you?
Yes, sir. As far as leverage, I feel like that's the most thing, leverage and stamina. That's what helps me a lot with the position I play, honestly, and hand control, knowing where to put your hands at the right moments, when to drop a knee at the right times and stuff like that. That helps me a lot.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it over to James Mueller and then keep it open if there's one or two more. James?
Yeah, just after, the shaky start, just what y'all been able to do the past few weeks. Can you just talk about the momentum this team has and just knowing that, that goal of a conference championship is still up for grabs and something that's very, attainable?
Yeah. Actually, as long as we're in tune with each other as a team, we're gonna be perfectly fine, honestly. Like you said, the mission for a championship is definitely up for grabs. That's definitely our vision from this point forward. So we're taking one game at a time, one play at a time. That's all we can worry about.
Thanks, James. We'll send it to Rob Sellers and then keep it open if there's one more from there. Rob?
Thanks, Andrew. Hey, Dot, just wanted to ask you a little bit how much timing-wise everything played together with this being your first full off season to really get into strength and all that in the off season, have a full complete off season, and also, as you mentioned, kind of getting into that where everything comes a little quicker to you in terms of development. How'd that all play together to get to where you're at this year?
Off season actually played well. I'm thankful to have another my first full off season. I'm thankful for that. Being able to be with my teammates is just a different feeling. That's really what I miss the most. So they helped me. I feel like they helped me get right this off season. As far as competitiveness, I got to compete with my teammates, see everybody's level of strength and mentally, physically, and stuff like that. So I'm thankful for that mostly.
Thanks, Rob. We'll send it over to Joseph Duarte for the final question. Joseph?
Dot, a few days ago, Alton McCaskill had a tweet about what the Big 12 is going to be like next year. And when you signed here, Houston wasn't in the Big 12. I was wondering just your thoughts on you could have gone different places before you signed here, but it sort of worked out where you're in the Big 12 now. You're in a power conference. Sort of what your mind is grounded in this year, but looking ahead, what that means to be part of a program that's going to be playing in the Power 5 next year.
I'm actually very excited that we're about to go to the Big 12. It says a lot as a team from where we started in 2020 to now. As a head coach with Coach Hogerson and everybody, how we all played a part in it. So I'm glad I got to say I came up. I got to struggle with my team. Got to see everything from bottom to the top. So I'm actually glad about that.
Thanks, Dot.
All right, everyone, we're going to wrap things up today with wide receiver Samuel Brown. Sam, thanks so much for your time here today. And we'll go ahead and get started with questions, and we can lead things off with James Mueller. James?
Yeah, hey, Sam, how are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
Doing pretty well. Since this is the first time we've gotten to talk to you, I was just wondering, could you tell us a little bit about just your journey, how you got to UH? I know Jayce was telling us a couple minutes ago how he was a guy that was really pushing for you to come down here. Just what stood out to you and what helped you make that decision to come down here?
Yeah, I'm a transfer from West Virginia University. Jayce, me and Jayce go way back, so that's probably why he had a little extra pushing for me. We played 7-on-7 together, way back, but you know what I'm saying. It just we had a little pipeline from West Virginia to Houston. That's all.
Thanks, James. We'll continue along with Joseph Duarte. Joseph?
Sam, how you doing?
Good, and you?
Good, thank you. Can you kind of take us back? What was going through your mind? The Memphis game, the craziness there at the end. That Coach Hogerson kind of mentioned that was your coming out party for the season, and sort of how maybe you've built off of that game with what you did in the Navy game.
Yeah, Memphis game, it was a good little stepping stone for me. Some people got different opinions calling it a breakout game, but I just look at it as me doing my job. That's my mindset going out there, everything. It's not like that was just a debut game of me. Like, there's gonna be plenty more games of that. But that's pretty much it. Like, just trying to be the best me.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll pass it along to Andy Yanez. Andy?
Hey, Sam, how's it going?
Good.
Good. Yesterday, Dana Holgerson was talking about how, early on in the season, from his perspective, he felt like the speed of the game was something that you still needed to, kind of adjust to early on in the season. But he's seen that progression, and really, he said during that Tulane game, he really kind of saw that switch, that click. I was just curious if you could talk about, from your perspective, what that progress has been like from the start of the year, some of the challenges you had, and kind of that transition throughout the season.
Good question. But that was definitely the issue first couple of games of the season. Like, if you didn't know, leaving West Virginia, I got in a pull to mid-season, so I wasn't able to finish the season at West Virginia. So, the experiences, I didn't have the experience in game as much as everybody else. And then coming back from my first game to be in a dome, Alamo Dome, like that, it was a good atmosphere. It was just, in that moment I had that little incident when it was a bad catch. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even nerve-wracking. It was just I was more excited than anything. That's what it was. I had, just saying, just to sit back and relax and just, it's another day of football. That's all.
Thanks, Andy. We'll continue along with Joseph Duarte.
Sam, as you've kind of worked your way through the season, Clayton was telling us the other day that, he told you and Keyshawn kind of the same thing about, hey, look, the targets may not be there, but they're coming. Was that sort of kind of a patience deal for you? Wait your turn and maybe get confidence between, the quarterback and you in terms of, when your time would come?
See, that's one thing with me. Like, I don't really complain about targets because I understand football. And like some coverages, it's just that like your route on this coverage, you know you're not gonna get the ball. So it's not what I'm saying like, and it's a trust component also too. So that's and it starts with practice. Like you got to screen in practice so he know, you know what I'm saying, like know what to look for in the game. So that's what me and Toon has been working on. Keyshawn, everybody in the receiver room we've been practicing good, like screening, you know what I'm saying, going the extra mile for the quarterback. So that's all.
Okay.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it over to James Mueller.
Yeah, Sam, yesterday when we were talking to Dana, one thing he was really complimentary of was your perimeter blocking. I was just wondering, is that something, you talked about, not caring as much about targets and stuff. Is that something you take pride in? It doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but just, freeing up things for other guys.
Definitely. A lot of people want to speak on it, but last game when we played Navy. Excuse me, Navy. We had number 11. He was pretty like that's like they love physical as he was a little physical safety. I would say he was a strong safety maybe, but I got a little pancake on him. But you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I pride myself on blocking. I pride myself on having a good all around game, not just catching the ball. You know what I'm saying. I try to be the best on the field, like in all positions.
Thanks, James. We'll send it over to Dayon Dunlap. Dayon.
Hey, Sam, I kind of want to piggyback off of Andy's question and your answer. So now the game's kind of slowed down and you kind of being composed to where you can impact the game on film. What areas do you see to where you kind of like, okay, if I get this matchup or this coverage, I'm really impacting the game in a really good way, just from a receiver's perspective?
You're saying like man on man routes and stuff like that?
Yeah, like man on man routes where the tank might pull a coverage where you like, if I get this, I'm gonna win.
Oh, most definitely. Like, first off, it starts with the play and the alignment assignment, stuff like that. So, you know what I'm saying? But man on man, I just, you know what I'm saying? It's no, if it's man on man, I see it's zero coverage and his eyes light on me, I'm just trying to win. Like, you know what I'm saying? The ball can end up anywhere and everywhere. So, but it's just certain coverage because like if it's like a post in this cover 3 look, you know you're not gonna get the ball, but you gotta be good because you feel it's something underneath coming behind you. So you know what I'm saying? It's all around play, not just for you.
If I can piggyback off, if I can follow up with that, if you don't mind, Andrew. You also mentioned how gaining Clayton's trust in practice. How do you feel y'all chemistry has been over these last few weeks?
It's been great. One thing too has been good of like early in the season and still to this day, like he always knew I was that guy. It was just a matter of time when it was gonna be displayed. So and that's another reason. Like he always put it on my ear. Like I ain't forget about you. Like and some days when it was a good practice and I didn't have as many balls as everybody else, he was like, "Yeah, I see you working harder. The ball gonna come your way." So he just never made me feel like I was overlooked, stuff like that.
Thanks, Dayon. We'll send it to James Mueller.
Yeah, Sam, I was just wondering what it's been like for you to play aside a guy like Tank, who's, so explosive and, just how he's able to free things up for the whole receiver group.
Me personally, I can't, it's a blessing playing with him. Just seeing his work ethic in practice, you know what I'm saying, his demeanor in game, it's just you feel me, it boosts me up to another level. So it's just it's a blessing playing with Toon and Tank for real, like just them having that dynamic duo and Toon being as accurate and as much as a competitor he is, you know what I'm saying? That's all I can ask for as a quarterback. And that's the same thing with Tank. Like that was the catch he made in Memphis, like still to my day, him hurt. Like he never come out of the game. Like without that catch, we don't know what that game would have ended like.
Thanks, James. We'll send it over to Andy Yanez and then take a couple more from there. Andy?
Yes, and kind of along those same lines about Tank, is there like one piece of advice or something that sticks with you that he's given you during your time in Houston?
It's not necessarily something he told me. It's just like when I look at Tank, I just look at his story, like you know what I'm saying, like him playing at JUCO, Alabama A&M, and like now to this like now it's like now I look at him like you know what I'm saying, like he like showed me like you can persevere anything, stuff like that, and that's kind of like me and his story kind of similar but not the same. You know what I'm saying, having a portal issue and stuff like that. Just transferring schools, bouncing around, just trying to get comfortable in the system that fits you. So it's just like know what I'm saying? Anytime could be like any day could be, you know what I'm saying, a blessing.
We'll continue along with Joseph Duarte.
Sam, you've played in the Big 12 and you're about to go back into it next year. I know the focus is this season, but your teammates ever ask, what to expect, or what can Houston expect in a new league like that?
To be honest, you know what I'm saying? You say Big 12, Power 5, you know, it's all that is, it's opinions, you know what I'm saying? It's all it is, football's a mindset, you know what I'm saying? But one thing I couldn't say about the Big 12 is it's a lot more physical, you know what I'm saying? That's pretty much it. It's way, like, line of scrimmage wise, way more physical, but you know what I'm saying? Back end wise, drop, like, it's just a lot more drop 8. I can say that.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it over to James Mueller and then keep it open for one final question if there is one. James?
Yeah, Sam, I was just wondering if you had any guys at the next level you sort of modeled your game after, receivers that you've sort of, grown up watching that you try to, emulate.
Yeah, my favorite receiver is Devontae Adams, but my favorite mentality receiver is George Pickens. And I like to switch up my route play like Keenan Allen. So I try to put all them all together in one type.
Thanks, James. Keep it open if there's one more. Sam, thanks so much for your time here today, and wish you the best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thanks again.